Hello everybody and welcome to Watchful I Studio to another product review. Today we're looking at Battlefront Miniatures World War III Team Yankee Soviet T-72 Tankovy Company TSBX-01, retailing for $45. As you can see from the front, they show three of those wonderful looking T-72s on the offensive with that nice all plastic logo in the upper right hand corner, and of course the Soviet flag letting you know which tanks these are good for. Also keep in mind that down the line, for those Warsaw Pact players, you'll probably be able to field these in a different capacity as well. Let's go ahead and look at the back of the box. In the back of the box, you have the contents inside with the 5 plastic T-72 tanks, tank commander sprue, decal sheet, and 3 unit cards. Back of the box also shows you a blow up of the instructions on how to assemble this tank. One of the things I do like to tell people is always dry fit your pieces before you put any glue on to make sure you know where your contact points are, as well as making sure that particularly the hull goes together seamlessly, because at times if you put those tracks on incorrectly or a little bit off, it could make it difficult to put on the rear part of that hull or even the top. I usually use plastic glue, which gives me a longer dry time and allows me to manipulate the parts once it's all assembled to make sure that the seams are well seamless. Let's go ahead and take a look at the sprues. First sprue you see here, parts of the tank. They are switching over from the older gray plastic, which I have some of, into this new kind of Soviet green plastic, which is nice. When you put your tanks together, you can throw them right on the battlefield, and it doesn't look like the Gray Legion is coming to play games. They at least look like they're somewhat painted. In this instance, you have the top of the hull, some side skirts, smoke launchers, 2 machine guns, which is always nice just in case one of those barrels breaks, parts of the turret, mine clearing devices, and what Soviet tank wouldn't be complete without its giant log. Let's look at the next sprue. On this sprue, you can see the tracks, main part of the hull, gun barrel, open and closed cupolas, the rear part of the hull, those fuel canisters from what I believe a searchlight, and of course the peg to mount inside your turret if you don't want to use a magnet. For those of you that weren't familiar, back in the day, Battlefront Miniatures provided rare earth magnets and switched to this peg system, which I've actually been switching over to using, mainly because you have to super glue those rare earth magnets into place, and over time super glue does lose its bond and the magnets have fallen off, particularly on some of my older Flames of War vehicles. So I'd rather just use the peg, use plastic cement, bond those pieces together, and I don't have to worry about repairs anytime in the near future. Go right ahead and take a look at that commander sprue. This is the standard commander sprue that you get in pretty much every Soviet box set, and Battlefront Miniatures is definitely getting some mileage out of making that sprue. You get 6 commanders on the sprue, giving you some variety for if you want to have those open hatches, put your commanders in. Let's take a look at the decal sheet. Decal sheet's pretty generic, gives you a bunch of tank numbers or vehicle numbers, both small and pretty much large, as well as a bunch of icons with the Soviet flag and the Soviet star. So it makes the vehicles look a little bit more realistic once those numbers are on there. Now let's see how these T-72s perform on the battlefield. After we put some together, take a look at the kit. The T-72 for many Soviet players is that nice middle ground between fielding a horde of main battle tanks, but also having a relatively decent quality vehicle. This kit has been around for a while. It was essentially one of the first plastic kits come out for the World War III Team Yankee range, but it holds true and is nice and relatively easy to put together. The smoke launchers, like most of the Soviet vehicles, is a little bit tricky because they're smaller parts, and like them and the machine gun, there is always a risk of breakage, so just be careful when handling them. T-72s can basically be taken as a battalion with an HQ option and its required companies. This is a decent vehicle with good armor, an okay gun, and okay statistics. These tanks will perform the tasks that are required for them on the battlefield, but you do need more of them, and they definitely aren't fielded as an elite force. The common thread in the Soviet army is their HQ options are typically a little bit better than their companies, with having a better courage, morale, skill, and assault ratings in some instances. In this case, a better counterattack value. The guns remain the same on both the vehicles, and the T-72 mounts the BDD armor, allowing it to have a higher side armor rating against heat weapons, and also gives you infrared, making it a little bit easier to hit your targets at longer range. Let's see how they point out. It isn't completely impossible to field a full 10 tank company in a 100-point game, considering that if you fielded 2 10-tank companies, you'd be sitting at 94 points with a 5-point HQ, putting you at 99. It wouldn't give you a lot of options in gameplay, only having essentially 3 units on the table, but it would give you 21 tanks, which would be interesting. I think for most players out there, though, you'd probably want to lower that and be able to take take some other options to be able to take objectives, hold objectives, and support those tanks on the battlefield. As a retail store, I would carry at least one, but probably two of these boxes. So if somebody wanted to come in and get rolling on a T-72 tank formation, they can at least grab 2 boxes and start off with 10 tanks. Battlefront Miniatures makes it easy because all of your 5 tank or vehicle box sets retail for $45. So it's nice to be able to pick and choose the boxes that you think will do well in your store, but it's also important to make sure that you carry your product range in depth to give your customers a variety to choose from, even if it's a mirage, making your customers think that your product range is deeper than it actually is. Even if you carry one of each box, at least the players know that the product exists. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, make sure to ring that bell, and as always, let's keep a watchful eye on the hobby. Thanks for watching. Take care.